Okay, so what we have here is generally another basic spreadsheet. It looks quite busy. There's lots of comments that are asking you to do certain things, but you've got to think of these as a different way of just asking you what to do, as opposed to having a long list on a bit of paper saying you must do this and this and this before you begin to actually start doing your spreadsheet. So if you look at the one at the top, the first one, the one I'm just highlighting just now, tells us to embolden the main heading and make it larger. Quite a simple instruction, but it's one that's also quite easily missed. If we click into cell A1 and just click on the B for bold, that will make our text bold quite clearly. You can tell it's bold because it's darker, it stands out a bit more. Now that's one part of the instruction. It's a two-part task. It asks us to make our text larger. Now when it says to increase the size, it doesn't mean to make it very large so it takes up as much space. Our font is presently size 10, so anything such as size 14 would be more than adequate for an increase. That means the marker can actually see that it has been made larger. Now, we're finished with that comment, so we want to get rid of it. There's two things you can do depending upon what the task asks. You can hide your instructions until later, double check you have done it, or you can delete your comment. I am going to delete and not take the comment away. Column down here, make this column wider so that you can see all of the writing. As you can see, some of the text isn't visible because our column is not wide enough. If you hover your mouse in between column A and B, this object will appear. It's what I like to call a double arrow. That may not be the correct term, but I think it's quite descriptive. Anyway, you click down with the left hand mouse button and then drag out until you've got an adequate view of all of your text. Again, once the text is all visible, you can delete your comment as so. Now, let's look at some of the rest of our comments. Another one just to do with how your text appears, embolden all column headings. You can highlight column 2 and make it bold as such. Now, because we're working in the total section, we can look at this instruction now. Make sure the instruction is all visible first of all. Insert a formula to total the number of DVDs sold for the first row, then copy this total to the other rows. So you want to find out the total number of DVDs sold for the first row, so for the first film, then copied on down. So we're adding here, but we're adding more than two numbers, so we're adding a range. So what we would do would be equals sum, then very important you get the brackets, the first bracket. You then click on the first number in the range, hold shift and get your semicolon, then the last number in the range and push enter. And that will add up your range of cells for you. And then that can just be copied down. Again, we'll finish this instruction, so let's delete this comment. Now here, this cell should be left blank. Please shade this with a colour. So shade just means add some colour to it. Ideally a colour that will show up quite clearly when you print it out. So anything dark, a black or a grey would be the first choice. We'll ignore that. That was just a bit of a mishap. Now, we have to put a total into italics. So that is just the word total. Go click on that and switch to italics. Again, and delete our comments. Lastly, our last instruction, insert a formula to total this column, then copy this total to Edinburgh and Glasgow. So we're adding up what we see before us. So again, same as before, you can do equal sum, or you could go to auto sum and then click on sum. It will put brackets around the range. You can check your range is correct and push enter. Then simply just drag and copy across. And lastly, we'll delete our final comment, like so. Now, summing up important things to remember. If you're only adding two cells, you can use a simple equals cell reference plus another cell reference. And I just seem to have forgotten where the plus key is on my keyboard. Excellent. Plus another cell reference. So for example, B9 plus C9. I would say that for marking purposes and just for the sheer purpose of keeping your work looking neat and more professional and more capable, I would recommend and suggest that you do not try to do something like this. Equals this plus plus. Your formula just simply gets messy. You do end up with the same answer, but it doesn't look as good as using the sum for a range. What I would expect you to do when adding a range of cells, any more than two, equal sum brackets and then your range. Now you can get that by highlighting, clicking down with your left and dragging along, or you can type in your range. So equals sum brackets B9 semicolon, in this case D9, and then brackets close. Any more than two cells and you'll always use a range. Just two cells and it's normal adding purposes. Thank you. This was just a basic tutorial on addition and how to edit a spreadsheet. If you need any more help, please look at the rest of the videos. Thanks.